G'day. It's a bit warm out there today. But while I'm here, I just want to have a bit of a rant about wayfinding signage in Perth. The network of paths, etc. is really good, but finding paths, finding a way around them can be a real struggle. So what are the issues? Well, just quickly, the first is the signs are just too small. I mean, some of them are literally about this big, and you've got to be able to see them from the other side of the road. It's just ridiculous. Some that are quite, and the lettering on them is really small. So in some cases, I've gone up to a sign that's down low and I've put my thumb up, and that's how tall the lettering is. Absolutely minute. You've got to get up about that close in order to read the sign. Creepy crawly, which is absolutely ridiculous. You've got to be able to see this stuff from 30, 40 metres away, not this far away. Other issues, a lot of the signage is really old. I mean, it's older than I am by the look of it. It's more wrinkly, it's cracked, the paint's peeling, it's rusted, it's twisted. Either the elements or the vandals have gotten to some of the signage, and it's just a mess. And it's difficult to read, it needs to be refreshed. Another problem is a lot of the signage is in the wrong location. Now, the way signage should be located is, let's say I want to ride over there to that lounge thing, and there'd be signage saying lounge over here. The way they've put the sign is on the other side of the lounge around the corner. So you've got to go past it to see the sign to go somewhere. It's okay, that's a silly analogy, but sometimes you'll have to ride down a path to find a sign which tells you where that path goes. That's silly. If you come to a turn off, the signage should be at the turn off or just before it, saying Leaderville is that way or Fremantle's that way, not go down that path 20 metres and a sign that says, Fremantle's that way. That's just insane position. There is some signage that's been stenciled on the paths, and there's a bit of it down in Fremantle, which is really, really good. The lettering's, that big, and it's easy to see from quite some distance. And it hasn't faded too much. But other signage which is around the place, it's small, it's located in the wrong place, and it's faded. It hasn't been refreshed. Thousands and thousands of people have ridden over it. The sun's been shining on it, the wind's been blowing on it, the rain's been raining on it, and it's hardly legible anymore. So that's quite useless as well. And again, where they've stenciled these things on the paths in some locations is in the same balmy setup where, for instance, you'll come off a side street onto the principal shared path, and you'd expect, say, if, where am I going? Perth is that way and Subiaco is that way, the stuff would be stenciled on the path before you get to the turn-off. I mean, that's what we're used to seeing when we're driving, for instance, but instead the stencils are over there, so you've got to stop and look in both directions to find the stencils to read where you're going. So the whole lot definitely needs a big overhaul. The signage needs to be at least twice the size of what it is today. You ride around, you see all sorts of other signage, warning signage and all the rest of it, and it's huge. The signs themselves are physically big. Why can't cycling wayfinding signs be equally big? The second thing is the lettering needs to be bigger than that. It needs to be kind of like this, so it can be easily viewed from a long distance. Third, the positioning really needs to be thought about, and I think the way to resolve that is you don't send a couple of people out in a ute to install the signage. You send a couple of people out on bikes and you get them to ride up and down and find the most sensible place to install the signage. Now, they might not actually put the signage in, they might just mark up a map and some contractors come along and dig a hole where X marks the spot. But you need to be on a bicycle to tell where the bicycle signage should be located, not in a ute. They could probably change the colour scheme. I know that in the Netherlands they've come up with a new colour scheme and signage scheme which is much more visible and easy to see. And in terms of being easy to see, you don't put signage up there in the sky where you can't see it. I mean, when we're cycling, we're generally bent over like this, and we're looking kind of down here at the path. You're looking for potholes and ruts and lizards and things. or you're looking a little bit further ahead, but you're looking down. You're not looking, I'm not going to do a salute like that, you're not looking up in the sky. We're not driving cars where you need to see over a truck in front or over a van to read the signage. So signage can be down here at kind of nipple level rather than up in the sky somewhere. And that's the problem with a lot of it. Now I know in some cases they might say if we put it down here, some idiot's going to come along with a spray can and go and wreck it, and okay, that's true in some suburbs. Like if you ride out to Gosnells, for instance, you'll probably come back thinking spray cans should be banned because everything's been spray painted, including the shared path. But other suburbs I don't think have this problem. So where possible, put the sign down where it's in your line of sight as a cyclist. What else? Oh, and put stuff on the ground. Don't be afraid to stencil stuff on the ground, because again, what I was saying, we're looking down. So put nice big lettering on the ground with clear arrows, and especially when there's turn-offs coming up, in advance of the turn-off, have a turn left in 50 metres to go to Welshpool or something, so you've actually got some warning rather than just a sign at the turn-off itself. I mean, when we're driving on the freeway, for instance, you're quite used to seeing a sign that says Leach Highway 2 kilometres. Go a kilometre, Leach Highway 1 kilometre. Leach Highway, get off the road here. So why not adopt those same principles on the shared paths? I think that'll do. I'm warming up. I need to get back into the water.